In 1933, a terrified labourer risked everything to hide a massive, human-like skull in a forgotten well. The skull was so strange, experts would later call it the Harbin cranium. 85 years passed before its secret resurfaced, triggering a DNA investigation that is rewriting the story of human evolution. Could this skull, 146,000 years old, mean Neanderthals are not our closest extinct kin after all? The answer begins with the man who chose secrecy over surrender. A bridge rose over the Songhua River in the shadow of foreign occupation. In the mud and rubble beneath, a labourer's shovel struck something unexpected. A skull of impossible proportions, ancient and heavy in the palm. The year was 1933, and the city of Harbin belonged to Manchukuo, a puppet state under Japanese control. Workers toiled under watchful eyes, their discoveries subject to confiscation, their fate uncertain. The labourer who found the skull recognised its strangeness. Its brow ridges were thick, its eye sockets squared, the jaw set wide and strong. Memories of the Peking man discovery just 4 years earlier lingered in the public mind, and the labourer knew the value of what he held. But the skull's size and shape made it dangerous, a relic that could draw suspicion or worse. Rather than surrender his find, he made a choice shaped by fear and tradition. In China, wells had long served as hiding places for treasures and secrets. That night, away from the gaze of soldiers, he wrapped the skull and lowered it into the darkness of an abandoned well. For decades, the secret remained. The bridge weathered war and revolution, but the skull slept undisturbed below, its story sealed away by silence and the changing tides of power. Years blurred into decades. The labourer grew old, carrying the memory of the well and its hidden burden. He told no one, not during the years of shifting regimes, not as the world outside moved on. Only at the end of his life, sensing his time was short, did he gather his grandchildren and share the story. He described the bridge, the riverbank, and the well that held a skull unlike any other, a skull that had waited in hidden isolation for generations. In 2018, guided by his final words, the family retrieved the skull from its resting place. They delivered it to Hebei Geo University, placing it in the hands of scientists who would face a new puzzle, a human relic with no excavation, no documented find spot, and no witnesses left to question. The artifact arrived as an orphan, its past veiled in secrecy, its future open to investigation. The arrival of the skull at Hebei Geo University triggered a wave of scientific scrutiny. Qiang Ji, a paleontologist known for his work on ancient hominins, led the initial investigation. He and his team examined the specimen's features with a mix of disbelief and excitement. The skull's sheer size stood out immediately. Its brain case measured 1,420 milliliters, matching and in some ways exceeding the range for modern humans. Yet the face was anything but modern. Massive brow ridges arched above square-shaped eye sockets. The nose was broad, the mouth wide, and the jaw thick, giving the cranium a powerful, archaic look. The teeth were oversized, more robust than those of any living person. Every angle offered a contradiction, a skull that seemed both ancient and advanced. Chris Stringer, a leading authority from London's Natural History Museum, joined the analysis. Together, the researchers catalogued each trait, comparing the Harbin cranium to fossil records from Asia and Europe. The specimen was designated the holotype, the single fossil that defines a new species. In 2021, they named it Homo longi, Dragon Man, after the Black Dragon River that flows through Heilongjiang province. The formal description placed the skull as an adult male, with obliterated cranial sutures and a mosaic of primitive and derived characteristics that set it apart from all previously named Homo species. Homo longi appeared to be something uniquely distinct. The scientific community took note. Here was a skull that defied easy classification. Its brain matched that of Homo sapiens, yet its face echoed much older lineages. The massive brow, the squared orbits, and the overall proportions suggested a human relative that had survived in isolation, evolving along a path no one had charted. Researchers found themselves confronting a mixture of traits that both connected and separated this fossil from known branches of our family tree. The implications were immediate and profound. Gee and Stringer published their findings, and the questions only multiplied. Where did this lineage fit in the human family tree? Was Dragon Man a direct ancestor, a cousin, or a representative of a lost branch? As the papers circulated, the Harbin cranium became a focal point for debate and fascination. Its combination of size, strength, and subtlety left even seasoned experts searching for answers. Its story was no longer hidden in a well. It had become a challenge to everything scientists thought they knew about our own origins. Inside the lab, the team faced a challenge that had stumped paleoanthropologists for years: how to extract a genetic identity from a skull that had spent nearly a century hidden from the world. The Harbin cranium offered no surviving nuclear DNA in its bone. Time and the elements had erased those traces. But hope remained in the teeth. Hardened plaque, dental calculus, sealed away microscopic fragments of ancient DNA, protected from the worst of decay. Researchers carefully scraped the tartar from the molars, then ran the samples through a battery of sequencing protocols. The result was unmistakable. Mitochondrial DNA from the plaque matched the genetic signature of Denisovans, a mysterious human group first recognized from a Siberian finger bone in 2010. This time, the evidence came not only from DNA, but from the proteins in the dense bone of the inner ear. Using mass spectrometry, the team mapped out the proteome and found the same Denisovan hallmarks, amino acid sequences that set them apart from Neanderthals and Homo sapiens. For the first time, Denisovans had a face. The Harbin skull, with its broad nose and massive brow, was not just a ghost in the genome, but a real, flesh and blood human ancestor. The findings also revealed a deeper connection. Some modern populations in Southeast Asia and Oceania carry up to 6% DNA from Denisovans, evidence of ancient interbreeding. The lab's breakthrough transformed the Harbin cranium from an anatomical riddle into the most complete Denisovan fossil ever found, anchoring this lineage in both the fossil record and the human family tree. Skepticism followed the Harbin skull into the laboratory. With no excavation records, researchers turned to the bones themselves for answers. Strontium isotope analysis offered the first clue. The ratio 0.711898 matched sediment cores drawn from the upper Huangshan Formation near the Dongjiang Bridge, placing the skull in the same ancient landscape as local Pleistocene mammals. Rare earth element patterns in the nasal cavity sediments echoed those found in fossils from the Songhua riverbanks, strengthening the link to Harbin's Middle Pleistocene past. Yet, the absence of original field documentation left room for doubt. Age determination proved even more contentious. Geochemist Xiao Qingfeng led a series of uranium series tests on the cranium, but the results scattered wildly, ranging from 296,000 years to just 62,000 years. Open system uranium behavior, likely caused by groundwater leaching and mineral changes over time, complicated the picture. Rather than trust the youngest or oldest numbers, Xiao modeled the data and defended a conservative threshold. He concluded the skull is at least 146,000 years old. This minimum age fits within the broader 138,000 to 309,000 year bracket, set by optically stimulated luminescence dating of the surrounding formation. Naming the species sparked its own debate. Ji Qiang and Chris Stringer championed Homo longi, arguing that the skull's mosaic of archaic and modern traits set it apart. Critics, including Maria Martinon Torres, questioned the wisdom of naming a new species without a clear archaeological context. Others pointed to the Denisovan DNA evidence, suggesting the cranium might belong to a known but still mysterious branch of humanity. Each test answered one question and raised another, keeping the boundaries of the story in constant motion. Every newly sequenced fossil redraws the map of our origins and reveals how little we truly know about ourselves. As ancient DNA exposes lost branches of humanity, the story of who we are is still being written. Somewhere, another hidden ancestor may be waiting to change everything.